When you think of the world's greatest investor, one name probably comes to mind, Warren Buffett. But here's the thing, his success isn't really about stock charts or complex algorithms. It's about a mindset. So let's dive in and unpack the core philosophies that built his entire empire, one brilliant idea at a time.
So let's kick things off with this quote. Honestly, this one line is like the key that unlocks his entire way of thinking. It's his contrarian anthem. It's all about learning to think for yourself, especially when the rest of the world is stampeding in one direction.
All right, so how are we going to break this down? Here's our roadmap. First, we'll talk about the single most important investment he ever made. Then, how he deals with the absolute chaos of the market. We'll get into his big shift, buying great businesses, not just stocks. And finally, we'll look at the psychological tools, the secret weapons, really, that tie it all together. Okay, so before he ever even thought about buying a stock, Buffett made a totally different kind of investment. And honestly, it's one that has compounded more powerfully than anything else he's ever owned. He invested in himself. This idea really comes to life with his longtime partner, the legendary Charlie Munger. You see, early in his career as a lawyer, Munger made a decision. He decided that the first hour of every single day, that hour belonged to him. He literally treated himself as his most important client, using that time to build his own knowledge, his own ventures. And Buffett, he absolutely lived this. I mean, as a kid, he didn't just read the finance books in his local library. He read every single one of them twice. He even got obsessed with books on horse racing, not because he wanted to bet, but because he wanted to understand how prediction systems work. This habit, this core practice of just reading and thinking for hours every single day, that's the real secret sauce. Okay, so you've done the work, you've invested in yourself, you've built up all this knowledge. Now what? How do you actually apply that to the crazy emotional roller coaster that is the stock market? Well, this is where Buffett's genius really shines. He created this brilliant mental framework to handle the chaos, and it all revolves around this character he invented called Mr. Market. So, who exactly is this Mr. Market? And why is understanding him so crucial to Buffett's success? Think of Mr. Market as the personification of the stock market's wild mood swings. He's your business partner, right? But he's totally manic depressive. One day, he's absolutely euphoric, offering you insane prices for your shares. The next day, he's in a deep depression, willing to sell you his shares for practically nothing. And this is where the magic happens. See, most people let Mr. Market become their master. They get swept up in his moods. They get scared when he's scared. They get greedy when he's greedy. Buffett, he does the exact opposite. He treats Mr. Market like a servant. He completely ignores the daily noise, the drama, but he waits. He waits patiently to take advantage of the moments when his partner's wild mood swings create these absolutely absurd, attractive prices. And this quote just nails the whole idea. In the short run, the market is just a popularity contest. It's a voting machine driven by emotion. But over the long haul, a company's true fundamental value, its weight, is what actually matters. Mr. Market might set the price day to day, but it's the underlying value that determines the real outcome. Okay, this next part. This is probably the single biggest evolution in Buffett's entire career. It's the shift in thinking that took him from being just a really good investor to being, the greatest. This quote really sums up a lesson he learned the hard way. Early on, Buffett was all about what he called cigar butt investing. He'd find these awful businesses, but they were super cheap, so he'd buy them, hoping for one last puff of value. But what he learned was that owning a struggling business, even a cheap one, is just miserable. He realized it's so much better to pay a fair price for a wonderful company you can own forever than it is to get a bargain on a headache. So what was the catalyst for this change? In a word, Munger. Charlie Munger is the one who convinced him that a company's most valuable assets often don't even show up on a balance sheet. Take their purchase of See's Candies, for example. On paper, it looks kind of expensive. But Munger saw the unseen assets, the incredible brand, the decades of customer loyalty. He knew that was worth paying up for. So the whole focus just completely flipped. The old way was buying stocks based on cheat numbers on a spreadsheet. The new way? Buying a piece of a truly great business with a competitive advantage that's built to last. He went from asking, is this stock cheap, to asking, is this a great business? It's a total game changer. Okay, so it's not just about finding cheap stocks, and it's not even just about finding great businesses. What's left? For Buffett, the real separator, the thing that puts you in the top tier, it's not your IQ. It's something much, much harder to learn. Your temperament. I mean, think about it. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you completely freak out and sell everything when the market drops 30%, what good is that high IQ? It's worthless. The ability to stay calm, to be patient, to resist that powerful emotional pull of the crowd, that is the real superpower here. So how do you develop that kind of temperament? Buffett uses this incredibly powerful mental model to enforce it. Just imagine, when you start your investing life, you're handed a punch card. And on that card, there are only 20 holes. That's it. This is the 20-slot punch card idea. Every single hole represents one investment decision you get to make for your entire life. Now, when you start treating every decision with that kind of scarcity, that level of importance, you stop chasing every little idea that comes along. You wait, you think deeply, you wait patiently for the absolute no-brainers. It forces discipline and just dramatically raises the quality of your decisions.
And this brings us to the final principle, the one that really holds it all together. This is what gives you the right temperament, what allows you to ignore Mr. Market, and what gives you the patience to wait for those 20 perfect opportunities. You could almost call it the source code for independent thought.
It all comes down to this. Do you judge yourself by an outer scorecard, what other people think of you, or by an inner scorecard, your own internal standards? Think back to the dot-com bubble in the late 90s. Buffett was being called a has-been, an old man who didn't get it, because he refused to buy tech stocks. The whole world was laughing at him, but he didn't care. He wasn't playing their game. He was playing his own, following his own principles. When that bubble finally burst and trillions of dollars just vanished, who was left standing? Buffett. His inner scorecard had protected him from the madness of the crowd. He knew that the phrase, "everybody else is doing it," is one of the most dangerous things you can hear in business. And it's almost always a sign to run the other way. And you know, this isn't just about investing, it's about life. When Bill Gates, maybe the busiest guy on the planet, asked Buffett for his single best piece of advice, this was basically it. Gates realized that his own calendar was jammed wall to wall, but Buffett's was practically empty. And the lesson was so clear. Focus is everything. Your inner scorecard helps you say no to all the noise so you can say a powerful yes to the very few things that truly matter. Buffett once said something brilliant. He said, "We succeeded because we looked for 30-centimeter hurdles to step over, not because we were able to clear 2-meter hurdles." His genius wasn't in solving these impossible, complex problems. It was in finding the simple ones and avoiding the hard ones. So that leaves us with a question for you. What is the simple 30-centimeter hurdles in your own life, that obvious, easy win you've been ignoring, that if you just finally decided to step over it could change everything?